Aileen is our Zoom host today. She will start us off just in a minute. We're going to have a short video and then hand over to John Ritchies to do a bit of an introduction. And then Tracy Mitchell's going to talk a little bit about links with Eswatini Kitchen, and then we'll hand over to the Women Farmer Foundation after that. So that's just an approximate running order. I think we should begin. Aileen. Now, if we can ask John maybe to introduce the meeting. Are you able to spotlight John, Aileen?
I think we've lost John.
Lost John. Oh, that's good. Okay, well, welcome everybody. It's wonderful to see you. I had asked John if he would welcome people to the meeting, but I will do it myself. This is the first of what we hope will be a series of meetings hosted by the Balmore Trust, JTS and Gavin's Mill all working together. We all have slightly different links with fair trade. I think everyone knows JTS imports many of the products from our fair trade producers. Balmore Trust is working on projects with a number of them, and Gavin's Mill sells the products in the shop. So we all come at this from a slightly different angle. And I think many of us, our first introduction to Eswatini is the products that you've just seen on that little video. So welcome and thank you for coming along today. Our main aim today was to hear more about what's happening with the Women Farmer Foundation in Eswatini, hear about particularly their tunnel project, which is a really exciting project that's up and running, and then think about how, towards the end, about how we might be able to support the Women Farmer Foundation going forward. But the main aim today really is to share information about the project. So thank you for coming. Can I just introduce Sonia Paiva, who's the chair of the Women Farmer Foundation. You'll see her properly on your screens later, but Sonia is here and will be speaking to us about the tunnel project. And we also have, I think, 3 students, is that right, Sonia? 3 of your students are with us today as well. And after speaking, Sonia and the team from the Women Farmer Foundation will be able to answer any questions that you have. If you have questions as you go along, can you put questions in the chat? And then we can pick them up when we come to the Q&A session at the end. There'll be an opportunity just to ask questions, but it's helpful if you can actually type them in the chat. If you know how to do that, if you don't, you'll be able just to ask questions raising a hand at the end. So welcome everybody. I'm going to ask Aileen to play the next video about Eswatini Kitchen and then hand over to Tracy Mitchell from JTS.
Located in the beautiful mountainous kingdom of Eswatini is a company that is greatly invested in transforming the lives of over 200 local farmers.
I supply Eswatini Kitchen with chilies. I supply Eswatini Kitchen because it's how I make a living.
In 1991, Eswatini Kitchen was established as a fair trade company with the main objective to create employment for disadvantaged women and to also provide a market for small local farmers and rural families. The extension support also provides the farmers with skills to flourish by providing support and training on growing and spraying programs. Eswatini Kitchen also assists in alleviating some of the challenges faced by small-scale farmers by providing extension support to ensure that the produce solicited from the farmers is as required by the factory. Eswatini Kitchen produces natural gourmet foods such as jams, marmalades, sauces and chutneys. And these products are exported to international destinations through partnerships with international organizations. JTS, a fair trade organization that facilitates the import and distribution of fairly traded products to the UK. And that is how Eswatini Kitchen is making a world of difference through Swati gourmet food.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to talk a little bit now about the trading relationship that we've had with Eswatini Kitchen. My name's Tracy Mitchell. I'm currently the Managing Director of Just Trading Scotland. I've been with Just Trading Scotland all the way from the beginning, but actually the trading relationship goes back longer than JTS has even existed. Through the Coach House and the Balmore Trust, the trading relationship started back in the early 2000s when Oxfam stopped importing the products from Eswatini Kitchen and approached John and asked if they would consider it. My relationship with John in terms of, I first knew about this through a church fair trade store connection through the Episcopal Church, and potentially you could say because of that, actually now I'm working with Just Trading Scotland, because I might never have met John if it hadn't been for that connection. I'm going to share a presentation now, and hopefully you'll be able to see that instead of me. Could somebody give me a nod or similar and tell me whether you're seeing a presentation? Yeah, I'm just going to see if I can actually get it to slideshow, but it seems to be objecting to that. So I'll just, can you see it anyway as it stands? Okay, so I thought we might start with just a bit of clarity on Eswatini as a country. A lot of people, sadly, haven't heard of it. And my slides aren't, yes, there we go. You may have heard of Swaziland rather than Eswatini. Eswatini is the new name, and it's this quite small country right down here and surrounded by South Africa. It is a landlocked country, which creates quite a lot of issues for the importing or the exporting a product from them and then the importing a product to us. And I'm going to share now a couple of slides that just maybe give you a little bit of a clue of some of what goes on to get the products from the producers to us. So this is a fairly average order, but we placed our most recent order for products from Eswatini right at the beginning of April. There's then a process that the factory needs to go through to get all the required ingredients for that, be that labels, lids, jars, boxes, or obviously all the actual ingredients that go into the product. About 2 months later, the production is complete and we're ready to start shipping it. As I say, it's a landlocked country, so we have to get it out of Eswatini through South Africa and then to Durban. And then one of the things that I've quite enjoyed doing over the last couple of years is looking at these sorts of maps. So the left-hand one here, you can see a big circle, roughly where I was showing Eswatini previously. That is tracking this morning one of the vessels that did actually take our products earlier in the year. And all those little arrows are other vessels, shipping vessels. Some of them will just be little sailing boats, but a lot of those are container ships. So our products leave Durban and make their way almost always via Cape Town and up the west coast of Africa. And then what you can see on the right slide, the right picture, is essentially Holland and then the east coast of England. And if you home in, can you see my pointer when I point? So this is all the vessels trying to come into Rotterdam and leave Rotterdam. Our products almost always transship in Rotterdam, which means they go into Rotterdam, the containers have to be taken off the vessel there, and then they come on to another vessel to do the last bit of the process up to Grangemouth. And then we get a land transport from Grangemouth. We do that partly because it's climate-wise better. There's less road transport involved, and that is less emissions. It's also a lot cheaper than further land transport in the UK but there have been quite a lot of issues in Rotterdam this summer. Some of them, I guess, potentially Brexit related. Some of them undoubtedly COVID related in terms of reduced, social distancing and so on at port. But also, most of you will remember that there was a massive issue earlier in the year with the Suez Canal. Now, none of our products were stuck in the Suez Canal at the time, thankfully, but quite a lot of them got held up in Rotterdam later because there was a backlog in Rotterdam. Once the Suez Canal cleared, everybody was on their way to Rotterdam, and then there was a huge backlog and containers not in the right place and all that sort of thing. So then eventually we get a container. I don't actually think this is one that was full of Eswatini stock, but it was one I could find a picture of this morning. We get a container of stock arriving at our warehouse in Paisley, and the panorama below is a picture of our warehouse quite some months ago when it was rather empty. It doesn't look anything like that now. It's very full of stock at the moment. So that process from our order at the beginning of April shipped in about the 23rd of June and arrived with us on the 17th of August. So as I think Liz said in one of the promotional things for this event, it's not just a case of saying, let's have another box of orange and cinnamon marmalade. It takes a lot of time from the point where we have worked out what we want to order to the point where the products arrive with us. I think you've already seen, obviously, the video at the beginning, but it's maybe worth just homing in a little bit on the range currently of 10 products that we bring in from Eswatini. There's primarily savoury products. At this point, we have those 7 savoury products and then 3 sweet products, 2 marmalades and a jam. We are looking at reintroducing some of the previous products, ones that had been discontinued when we did a relabeling process. We are looking at that for maybe 2022. And there are some range extensions that Sonia and her team are talking to us about and sending samples for. So there might be some new Eswatini products for you to look forward to next year. But I think it's probably worth just commenting on these products a minute, that they have a tremendous following through fair trade shops, that through all the hard work that John and his team at the Coach House and the Trust did in the early days, there are shops all across the UK that stock these products and love these products. We also have really good sales through fair trade church stalls and other stalls. But I think we have really important sales through Oxfam, who originally were the importers and then came to us. We now sell a lot of the products in gift packs to Oxfam, and 2 or 3 of the range sells well through Tradecraft. And in the last couple of years, we've had some real success with some options, Christmas gift pack options that we assemble in the warehouse to meet the customer's demands, but the 2 triple packs are ones that people have specifically asked us to put together. So on the left hand side there's a spicy gift pack, and on the right hand side there's what we call the flavors of Christmas gift pack, which is flavors that we think have a sort of link to Christmas. So it's orange and cinnamon marmalade, peach and ginger jam, and mixed fruit chutney. And then at the top is the pack that Oxfam are taking, the sort of curry pack, hot mango chutney and lime pickle. But the advantage of these ones now is that even though some of them are going to the big customers, they're also available to each of our shop customers or to order on our online shop as well. We also do sell those 2 boxes as flat pack boxes for people if you want to assemble your own gift pack of the 3 products you happen to want. I think for me, I'm going to finish there, but I think it's really great to be part of this conversation. I think we've been working with Eswatini obviously nearly 20 years since the work that the Coach House and the Trust did. It's great that we've been able to support Eswatini in their membership of WFTO, and through that's really supported our own membership of WFTO. Last year, we were able to provide some support to help the Women Farmer Foundation in their fight against COVID, and to be able now to be thinking about this project on the tunnel project is really quite exciting. So I will stop there. I don't actually know if that's my 10 minutes, but hopefully that's been helpful, and I'm obviously able to answer any questions later on if there's questions when we get to that bit of the meeting.
This year, 2021, marks 14 years since the Women Farmer Foundation was established, that being 2007, and has so true, bringing hope and wealth to women farmers, especially those in the rural areas of Eswatini, formerly Swaziland.
At Women Farmer Foundation, we have an annual competition called the Women Farmer of the Year competition that has gained prestige in the agricultural sector of Eswatini. Every year, we have women involved in agriculture, either livestock or vegetable production, compete amongst themselves.
The pioneer, Mrs. Sonia Pavio, has over the years transformed these women farmers from subsistence farmers into commercial farmers, thus contributing both to the economy of the kingdom and food security at large. After a decade of her vision's success, the Women Farmer Foundation introduced the younger generation into the organization. These youth have academic skills obtained from universities which they integrate within their farming, thus making it a profession.
I sincerely believe that you need to be financially stable, because you cannot be empowered and still be dependent on anyone. With all the challenges that we have faced up to now, I believe that they can be overcome. I really hope that somewhere, somehow, you'll be able to assist us in whatever way that is possible. We're not just looking for financial resourcing, but we are also looking for alternative resourcing.
Additional funds from the United Nations and Standard Bank Eswatini brought this youth tunnel production project into life. Currently, the practical training center has 70% female youth farmers and 30% male youth farmers. The organization is looking forward to expanding it countrywide, also integrating the adult women farmers.
Our syllabus comprises of marketing, quality assurance, financial management, agribusiness, and a whole lot more. We also would love to have a stipend whereby we will help these youth to have transport or accommodation money whilst they are attending this program.
I have friends who also do farming, but they haven't gotten the chance to come here and learn about protective farming. So it'll be beneficial for them when I come back on the community and actually share what I've learned here.
This is a very great initiative, and we would be happy to have more sponsors coming in and sponsoring the project.
The youth rhymes with technology, so is the farming youth. The organization therefore calls for support in securing such technological tools.
Mrs. Sonia Paiva has worked tirelessly for over 14 years trying to pave a way for the youth. As we move forward with her legacy, we as the youth are actually facing a lot of problems, as we know that farming is developing and technology is needed to actually carry out even this trainings that are here for the youth. Another thing is we want to venture into seed production so that we actually teach the farmers on how to produce their own seedlings. We would really appreciate it if you really help us and really come through when it comes to the finances. Thank you very much.
The Women Farmer Foundation also has non-agricultural programs within its activities.
We also have gender equality programs. We also have water and sanitation and hygiene programs that we do in the rural areas to promote proper sanitation and access to clean water. So we would like to urge all the funders to help the Women Farmer Foundation help other farmers. Thank you. Please rally behind us as we move farming into the future.
The Women Farmer Foundation appreciates its partners and stakeholders.
Hi everybody, I'm Sonia Paiva, the founder of the Women Farmer Foundation, an organization that deals with the empowerment of women and youths in the agricultural sector. We basically started in 2007, and this was to give rural women a platform to expose themselves in the agricultural sector. As we all know, the women are the breadwinners, caregivers, and the people that work the land. So as such, they needed to be acknowledged and given the recognitions for the work they do. Having said that, it's worth noting that Eswatini is a patriarchal, polygamous country, and as such, it made our objectives very difficult to achieve. However, with the constant perseverance, we managed to achieve the required results. Having started with 90 women in year one, 14 years down the line, over 4,000 rural women have benefited from this program. Some have gone from subsistence to semi-commercial farming. The first 10 years, our focus was mainly on the women. In 2017, we launched the Youth Farmer of the Year competition. The objectives were to get the youth interested and involved in the agricultural sector. This task proved to be very difficult, as we discovered that the youth were not interested in venturing into that sector. We then re-strategized, and as the Women Farmer Foundation, we had a makeover whereby the youth were well represented within our employment structures. We have more than 200 youths successfully involved in some sort of agricultural enterprise. Taking the youth to further heights, we began developing the Youth Innovational Tunnel Project, which we understood as being smart agriculture that addressed the issues of climate change and ensured food security and addressed the 12 SDGs. And having said that, we also introduced quite a lot of training, other trainings that one of the other colleagues will actually elaborate on. The reason behind this initiative was to demonstrate that there are financial benefits within the agricultural sector, which creates business and job opportunities, as it's recommended that only high-value crops are planted in the tunnels. It took us close to a year to put the program together and secure the funders, which were mainly the United Nations and Standard Bank Eswatini. For sustainability and continuity of the program, we ensured that the Ministry of Agriculture was also a partner. We currently have 20 students, which we divide into two groups because of the COVID-19 regulations. 70% female and 30% male. And the duration of the training is for 8 months. Being the first pilot project, it has been a learning curve for all of us. And as such, we noted that there are few things that we could improve on for the benefit of the students, as they come from all over Eswatini and must cover their costs of transportation, accommodation, and food whilst they attend classes on a weekly basis, and a few other items such as PPE, tools, learning materials, etc. So I was asked to talk for about 10 minutes, but I decided let me do 3 minutes to give our team an opportunity. And I would like to introduce Tema, who is one of the team players for Women Farmer Foundation, and she leads in the training of the youth farmers. Over to you, Tema.
Thank you, Sonia. Well, my name is Tema. I am an agronomist and project officer for the ongoing trainings on tunnel production. Well, I'm going to talk just briefly about the project. Well, selection was done from over 200 applicants, whereby only 20 participants were chosen to be part of the program. And these are agripreneurs that have at least 1 year experience in the field of horticulture and should have at least 0.5 of land and a clean source of water. And this is because upon completion of the program, the beneficiaries will have the opportunity to establish their own tunnels with the acquisition of funds from financial institutions. Now, we cannot deny the fact that you are living in an age of digital transformation, and agriculture is no exception. So now by training these youth agripreneurs a sustainable and climate smart way of farming, we are mitigating some of the challenges that are faced by these farmers, such as climate change. Since with tunnel production, the crops are grown inside a protected environment. Now, we do not really train these agripreneurs just on the practical or theory aspect of tunnel farming, but our syllabus also include marketing, quality assurance, we have agribusiness management, financial management, agricultural insurance, how to register a company, tax compliance, we have value addition, value chain, just to name a few. Now, some of the crops that we have grown in our tunnels, which are the high value crops. We have 4 tunnels in total, but we have been able to plant only 3 for now. We have grown indeterminate varieties of tomatoes. We have yellow pepper. We have red pepper. On the last tunnel, we are going to plant a cucumber. Now, the reason for growing this type of crops is because they are high value crops, like Sonia mentioned. These types of crops fetch a better price in the market, and they will really improve the livelihoods of these upcoming agripreneurs if they can venture into tunnel production. So since we are given a short time, I will pass I'll give one of our students an opportunity to share their experience as they are part of the program. Gaise is an agronomist as well as a vegetable farmer. Over to you, guys.
Good day, everyone. My name is Gaise Pembe and I am 23 years of age. I am an agronomist and I am a participant of the tunnel production. In the last 3 months that we've been in the tunnel production, it has been an amazing journey because it does not only include learning to grow in tunnels, but we have been taught about marketing our produce, producing quality produce. We have been taught about tax compliance as well as loan applications and payments. Also, after the completion of this project, because we have Standard Bank as a funder, we are hoping to be able to apply for a loan, which will then take the loan to buy our own tunnels and take it back to our communities, where we will teach young youth as well as other youth that are there to farm inside tunnels as well. So this is not only just to benefit us, but we are hoping to take this back to our community so more can benefit from what Sonia is doing with this project. Also, we will appreciate any form of help because we travel from about 40 kilometers from where we stay to the tunnel site, and we travel for 3 days. So we'd really appreciate any form of assistance in the project. Thank you.
Good day, my name is Piwa. I'm also part of the Women Farmer Foundation Tunnel Production Program. I am a law student and also an agripreneur. And as a Swaziland as a developing country, we are facing a lot of financial situations, whereby as the youth, we cannot afford to start any businesses. And when we start, we're starting from bare minimum. And when the Woman Farmer introduced this program, it's really a great program because this will help us farm under a protected environment. I am a farmer and I've been affected by the climate change that is happening in the country. And this program is here to help us to farm under a protected environment. Because since it is a high income industry, it will help us reduce the risk. The tunnels will help reduce the risk in our businesses. And this program has not just taught us on how to grow or under a tunnel, but it has taught us a lot of things, especially being an entrepreneur in agriculture, which is very essential, which I think is very essential, because when you're starting a business, you need to know the fundamental basics of that business. And with the Women Farmer Foundation, we are being taught how to manage a tunnel, which is very important since a tunnel is a high income industry, meaning that it is a high risk industry. So in order for you to actually be able to manage a business, you need the fundamental background and lessons to carry yourself through. And this has been a very beautiful journey. And we'd also like assistance in any form for us to actually be able to be successful in this program, and also be able to go back to our communities and also create an impact, so that we can also create more opportunities for the youth, because we have about 70% of the youth which is unemployed. And we want to ensure that agriculture is not just about farming, but it's also about the value that you can add into whatever that you are putting into the land, such as processing and other ventures that you can get into just through agriculture. And through your help, we can also help others and also create a stable, sustainable economic development throughout the country. Thank you very much.
I see some questions here in the chat box, so perhaps I can have the liberty of answering. Hi, Sonia, sorry, are these students all from the same university or different institutions are involved here? So basically, the students are from different institutions, but they all share the same sentiment, which is the agricultural sector. So we have, yes, from different levels. And the other thing that not all of them are university graduates, but there is a minimum educational requirement that we made, because tunnel production is not a cheap venture to go into, as the assets are quite pricey. And if they're going to go ahead, they have to have the minimum requirements of education. I hope I've answered that one nicely. And then there's another question here. Has the current political situation in Eswatini and in KwaZulu province in South Africa affected the way your organization is able to work? Well, I will talk for Eswatini because we are Swati, and it did have, if we have to be honest with ourselves, it did affect our work, because it was mainly, I don't want to say agitated, but sparked off with the youth. And because the youth feel that they would like to enjoy the rights that everybody else has, and they should be given the opportunity of also getting employment. And as our students have said, they are educated, and so they feel that they need to be given the opportunities that everybody has. So how it affected our program and our organization is that the students were not all able to attend classes because there was blockades and there was a lot of unrest where they were burning of property, and of course then there were restrictions where we were not able to travel, or the students were not able to travel, which posed a very big concern, because I think, as Kaise said, the they have to travel to and from here. So that was one of the biggest challenges. And I think the worst one was there was a shutdown of all the stores and everything. So at one stage, the ones that couldn't go home had to stay here on site. And then we basically had to go home, and all of us put things together so that we could feed the students that were stuck here because they couldn't get back to their homes. So I think that, yeah, I don't know if there's any other. Okay, there's another question here. How do the tunnels help to deal with the impacts of climate change? I will also answer that, but team, if any of you want to chip in here, please, Tema, you guys can chip in. How do the climate change, well, this project was actually initiated and because of climate change. We have here in Southern Africa, I think it's the whole continent, have experienced extreme weather conditions, whereby today is extremely hot, and then the next day we have hail. So it has disturbed quite a lot of the patterns that we were accustomed to. So it no longer rains in summer, it rains whenever. And it's like yesterday was extremely hot, today is cold. And we don't know, it's like we want to start a seedlings project. And the seedlings that we plant under the tunnels, it's one thing, and they grow. Those that we do outside take a lot longer. So yeah, so looking at the way of progressing within the agricultural sector with minimal risk, I think that's why we chose this, the tunnel project. I don't know if there's any more questions.
Liz, do you want to come in and?
Well, in actual fact, Sonia, I believe, has answered all the questions in the chat. I'm trying to think if I have a couple of questions. Yeah, obviously the tunnels are an essential way forward in the current climate issue. Can you give us some examples? I think you spoke earlier of climate smart farming. Can you give us some examples of that?
Okay, so climate smart. So here on the site, besides the tunnels, we have protective farming, which is an alternative way of producing, which is under shade cloth, which also offers some sort of protection. And we have also introduced solar energy with this project, because a lot of the people, hopefully when we put this in the rural areas, we will, because we have a lot of, our weather is more favorable to heat than cold. So the solar side of it being smart as well, because we will be able to pump water and use the solar panels to generate energy to be able to do that. So the dependency on the electricity is going to be reduced. And of course, the costings of the smart way of agriculture also comes into place, because when we fertilize the produce inside the tunnels, we also have a way of circulating the water so that no water goes to waste. And so there's pipes that take the water to some water tanks, and then that water is then recycled and then comes in to water the vegetables, the normal type of vegetables that we're growing under the shade cloth. So when looking at smart technology, the project also offers, we have, and please Tema, correct me, you guys are more clued up on this than I am. You can also remotely control your watering systems. Do you want to talk to that, Tema? Mm.
Yeah, that's actually something that is also worth mentioning, that you can actually control the pumping system. just like at the comfort of your home. So that is also technology, because we are speaking about the youth. They just don't want something that is manual and whatnot. So that is why we introduced something like that. And just like Sonia mentioned, we once we irrigate or fertigate our plants inside the tunnels, the water is channeled through pipes into a water reservoir that is then recycled back. So that is what we call sustainable agriculture. Nothing goes to waste with this type of with this type of project. Yes.
Thank you, Tema. That's interesting. There's another question here in the chat, which is, why do you not use Maputo as your container port for the shipment of goods?
Tracy, is that one Tracy might
Yeah,
ask?
Tracy.
All I can say is we speak to our agents, shipping agents in South Africa, and they choose the best route, either on a combination of how long it will take and the cost. And that's the route that they've proposed to us.
Okay, thanks, Tracy. Yes, it's always a question of finance, bottom line. Tema, I have a question for you. You talked about recruiting young people to the project. We were wondering how you select them. What is the basis for selection?
Thank you very much for the question. Well, like I think I did mention that yes, I did mention that we selected from 200 applicants, we only have 20 that we selected from the 200 that wanted to be part of the program. The selection criteria was you should be already an agripreneur, have 0.5 hectares of land and a clean source of water. It should be youth from between the ages of 18 to 35.
Great, thank you. Have we got any more questions? Please put your questions in the chat box. Now, we've talked a lot about water resources, and we've talked about technological control of everything. Can you tell us how you imagine that this project will affect day-to-day living? Tema or Sonia?
Okay, I'm good to go, but if you ladies would like to talk, it's okay. So the day-to-day living, the way that I see, from what I have observed in the last 3 months and having put a lot of thought over a whole year, was that looking at how energetic and how highly mobile the youth are, the growth patterns that take place within a tunnel, and the amount of produce that comes out of the tunnels is very, very high. And having said that, because, and I don't know if it's the same in the UK, but here the youth are very impatient. We find that they plant today and they want the cabbage out tomorrow. So having looked at all those things, we thought that the return on the investment would be good. And a lot faster than the normal conventional way of agriculture. I think that the impact that it would have on the ground is that if our students are role models within their own communities, that's the whole aim, that it's youth-led, then I think that there'll be a big difference that and an impact that it will have, because financially, the produce that they are planting in the tunnels are high value. So unlike a cabbage that you can buy, which is relatively cheap, but cucumbers and red peppers, not the green ones, the red and the yellow, we call them the robot, they are very, very costly, and especially in this part of the world. So I believe that, yeah, it will definitely have a very good impact. as they will also be able to compare between the two, what we are accustomed to and the returns on tunnel production.
Thank you for that. Have we got any more questions in the chat? One I see. Yes. Another part. Are you interested? Do you research what other farming communities in Africa are doing?
Yes, I do. I belong to the African Women Entrepreneurship Program, and I work with women, African women across the African continent. And a lot of research was done and success stories, because I didn't believe that I needed to reinvent the wheel. So I've since, and this is where some of the ideas have come from, where in other parts of the African continent, this is already working. And of course, not all of them planting what we're planting, but there's aquaponics as well that other people were doing. But for our, for Eswatini, I thought that this would be the best lot. But I do work with the rest of the women within our continent.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. You talked about your high value products. You talked about tomatoes, cucumbers, red peppers, yellow peppers. What are your principal markets for these products?
Okay, so we have one of our partners, which is the National Agricultural Marketing Board. They're also part of our training program. And that is the organization that controls all the importation of goods, what's coming into Eswatini and what's going out of Eswatini. So when we look at what is of high value that's been imported and not grown, then we stand it to be guided by them, because they have all the information. And that is one of the triggering points, was how much was actually being imported into Eswatini. And the reason why the Eswatini were not growing this is because it's high risk, and you put the seeds very expensive, and you have to monitor the growth of the produce. And it is advisable to do it under shelter. So the source was the Agricultural Board, and based on the volumes that are being imported.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that. Also, turning to your the products that we in the UK enjoy so much and import, the jams, the chutneys, the pickles, the sauces. How do you market these products?
Okay, so those products are marketed through Eswatini Kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And we're very blessed to have partners like JTS, and there's also GAPA in Germany. And like Tracy was saying, she was blessed to have met John, and that was through a church project. And I was also one of those. I was also so lucky to meet John, and I have personally met him, and he has been to Eswatini, and is a wonderful man and very passionate about the producers. And I think that the story that we have to tell is a great one, because it's not just a story. We know the producers, and we know how much it takes, to grow the stuff and then bring it into Eswatini Kitchen, which is the food manufacturing company, which again is led by women. And most of the people that work there, 99% are women, and they also come from the rural areas. So I think it's the story, and also not just the story, but the quality of the produce, because Eswatini products are 100% natural. There's no colorants, there's no additives. And you see that chili, and believe you me, that's what's going to go in there. You see the grapefruit and the that's going into your marmalade and all that. It's not going to be something that has been stored somewhere full of preservatives. So we are very conscious of where the produce is coming from. And being a feminist as I am, I always try and ensure that there's a woman out there that's benefiting from that.
That is great to know. I work in the Gavin's Mill shop from time to time, and our customers come in and ask specifically for the Eswatini kitchen products because they're not full of preservatives, but most of all because they really, really enjoy them. And sometimes there is a sense of frustration that they have to wait until the next shipment comes in from Eswatini to JTS. We can't simply phone up to get some. Now, I've got no more questions. Has anybody got any more questions in the chat?
I wonder, Liz, if we could bring John in. And John, you didn't get a chance to say your word of welcome at the beginning because I think you dropped out. So I wondered if you wanted, people have talked about your involvement in all this. I wondered if you wanted to try and draw things together. We've only got 5 minutes left, but maybe it would be appropriate to bring you in and just ask just for some thoughts to close. I think you're muted, John, are you?
Oops, sorry.
No, that's you. No, you're okay.
Sorry, no, is that okay? Can you hear me?
Just, you're quite quiet, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't know why that is. I'll shout. No, I mean, this is where we started. We got a letter from Eswatini in 2002, and Nana, who's sitting next to me, and I did it as a kind of hobby for a while, and we've lived and loved it for a long time and been there numerous times. I think what really excites me about it is the fact that it's not just you're growing a few things and producing a few things, however lovely they are, but it's part of a bigger kind of vision of how farming can grow and develop in Africa. And I just think that is one of the most important issues in the world. And that may sound a bit grandiose, but 75% of the population of sub-Saharan Africa, 75% are smallholder farmers. And Africa is mostly still dependent on selling its commodities. If that doesn't get kind of modernized and get stronger, Africa is going to continue to slip down the slope into chaos. And that's a crucial matter for the world. So I think what Sonia's doing is, more than just helping a few farmers to get a fair wage, but it's about trying to see how African farming can really take a step forward and begin to deal with the underlying economic problems of Africa. And that we will be enormously grateful to if that comes through. So I think it's been a fascinating morning, and I'm really encouraged. Thank you.
Dina, I think you'd had Dina, I think you had a question that didn't come up. Is that right?
Oh yes. Yeah, my question was just on very short question, but kind of a little bit bundled two or three together. It was mostly from to the ladies from Women Farmers Foundation. I heard them talking about the problem of transport and accommodation. So I was wondering if they could give us a little bit of some highlights on whether the problem, is it because of the infrastructure, or is it because there are no means of transportation, and how are they managing that at the moment, and how do they think, because the lady who was talking about it, she has mentioned that, well, if we could get some help on that, so what kind of help maybe would be required in those transportation and accommodation. And also in terms of training, Thelma have just also gave us a very good highlights on over that. And I was just wondering that, because as women, when we're talking of Women Farmers Foundation, it's great because we want to see women being involved into the economic activities. And much more important and much more great, I've been excited to hear this these women farmers from Eswatini, is the involvement of youth, which is quite more important, because it's these youth that we're talking with them today. These are the women of tomorrow. And if these women of tomorrow will be great, meaning that they'll be pulling other youth as well, and the chain will be continuing. So I have seen also from the videos that there are just only very few boys who have been involved into that. And to me, I felt that, well, that was great, because as a researcher, we normally just like you see there is a very great impact that men bring into the project when they get involved, but they shouldn't be very much involved, because then later on they will end up on dominating. So I was wondering, in terms of the training and recruitment, is there anything that during the recruitment is done, either a certain percentage of boys to be involved as well, or you normally just on like basically give priority to girls? This is my short question.
Right, Dina, if that's a short question, I wonder what the long one is. Okay.
I don't know if you can answer in 2 minutes, Sonia, can you?
Okay, so the transport issues that we have is because of where these young people live. And some of the places are very far from here. And it's not just them jumping into one transport to get here. Some of them have got to jump into 2, 3. And the issue is we do have roads, we do have buses, but let's say if there was the unrest or there's extreme weather, then it is a challenge for them to get here. But I don't believe that it's all infrastructure. Concerning the number of, or the percentage of boys, we have 30% boys within this project, because we're dealing with youth, and with youth, it's boys and girls. So I was able to accommodate 30%, and the majority always has to be the girls. So I hope I've answered your short question.
Absolutely, that's super, because 30% I think for boys it's enough, because the reality is when boys are working together with girls, girls also are getting motivated, and also the girls will be learning a lot of confidence from boys. So 30% it's enough. Yeah.
I think we could go on with some of these conversations for a very long time, but I think we're going to have to draw to a close, because we said we would keep it to within an hour. It's been really interesting to hear how the conversation has moved on from starting with links with just buying the products and marketing this country, to thinking much more deeply about how we can support the development of the Women Farmers Foundation and what we can do to help. And I think there's an ongoing conversation that we need to have about ways in which we can help. Balmore Trust has given a small donation to the work of the foundation, and if you're interested, there are some items in the new Gavinsville gift catalogue that will be coming out that will allow you to also offer some support. But I think we need to think carefully how we can support Sonia and her team going forward. It's clearly a very exciting project, and we are really keen to work with you, Sonia, and hear how we can support. Stipends for students have been mentioned. I know that, speaking to Sonia, the cost for a student per month works out at around about £380, so it's quite expensive for the kind of stipend that they're looking for. Equipment for a student for the year comes out about £350. So there's some very concrete things we can think about in terms of ways that we can contribute. And through Balmore Trust and JTS and Gavinsville, we're keen to keep this conversation going with you, Sonia, and try and see what we can do going forward. I think we should probably round it up for today and just say thank you very much to everybody, but we're really keen to hear from people who would like to be involved, like to think how they could help with this work going forward. And you can get directly in contact with Sonia at the Women Farmer Foundation, or through the Balmore Trust or JTS. We have recorded this, and it will be available for showing at other meetings to try and keep interest going. But I think unless there's any other burning issues, I think we should close there for today, and thank everybody for coming.
I would like to express, please Joyce, I'd like to express my gratitude on behalf of the Women Farmer Foundation and the students for the work that Balmore Trust has put into the Women Farmer Foundation, and Tracy as well. So I'd just like to say that your efforts have been greatly appreciated in this part of the world. And going forward, yes, if anyone would like to assist, they can go through you or Tracy, and yeah, whatever it is that you have is appreciated. And John, it's so nice to see you. You're a blessing, and I think the work that you've done here in Africa has also been phenomenal. So I'd just like to say thank you. I don't know if my team would like to say anything there before.
I was going to say thank you to your team. Thank you for being with us and sharing your contribution. I don't know if you have any final comments before we close the meeting. Anything from your team, Sonia?
Tema, I'm sure you guys have got something to say to thank the people.
You're muted.
Thank you for having us and just for giving us this opportunity to brief you on what the project entails. We are hoping that you have enough information and that you will really come through with any form of help to help the project gain momentum and, you know, help the students as well as they are part of the program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will close at that point, and thank you, Aileen, for the technical support. Goodbye, everybody.